It's cool that Sinead has the like the jazz connection too, because I guess that's what I'm gonna keep coming back to in terms of like I've always really been someone that's just so really into culture, and I guess when I started getting into my music education, you realize, especially with the so-called jazz music, there's this you really start to see black and white, like specifically black American, white American, the specific divide, like this very specific concept. Like when I started getting into the professional music world, like this thing became really obvious. So I think that foundation is actually maybe not as tangential as one might think. So it's interesting perspective. And I think it's one of those musics that, really represents that. So, we will always get these influences in Hartford from our teachers and stuff like that. And, I think like what Edie said, like that kind of Africana diaspora class was really big in like the 80s, 90s. And that was the big type of jazz that I learned. But yeah, it really, that foundation of like, you always kind of know that there's apartheid in America, in this kind of thing, but especially with jazz music, just the specific issue of Black American culture is so prevalent there. And it became so obvious to me as a musician that it's just like impossible to learn without it, and how important and awesome that thing is. And then you realize that it came on the backs of 400 years of just the worst oppression and kind of human history. And, as you get older, you kind of realize what we export to the world. As I've traveled and see these things, all these styles that people appropriate, all the music that we play, all this food, like everybody has appropriated this great culture. We call it American culture, but this term BAM, I talk about Black American music, is the term that Nicholas Payton made for his, in terms instead of jazz music, which was made by a white person. Basically what we export is this Black culture. And I keep coming to that as like my foundation. That's more of what I'm really into myself. Reparations is this issue that we talk about. And I don't really care too much about the money and the numbers. I'll go into the trillions and quadrillions, 16 quadrillion, whatever, like how to pay for it. For me, I think it's more about atonement. It's more about culture. And it's more about thinking about, imagine if and when this culture is like, not like brought whole, but to produce so much, what it's produced after 400 years of oppressions, it really blows your mind. So most of my music study is just trying to dig into that. It's called like soul, really, in the seven, like the soul, trying to dig into that soul and trying to get a piece of it. I think that's something that us Americans don't even appreciate. That's why a lot of these musicians had to go overseas. They get all their credit in Europe and Japan. Like I bet at home in Croatia, jazz is more popular there than it is here. So there's this weird thing. So I'm more into studying the culture, Black American culture. It's a specific culture, which I know ADOS is all about. There's a specific culture, specific kind of lineage. So as a musician, that's what it's about for me. And reparations, just to finish up, it's basically your channel. Your channel got into me. Like Jason, I'm just a lefty that watches a lot of YouTube. I guess you can call me a lefty. Some people call me a center right, far right, left. I don't really know what I am, but I do watch a lot of YouTube. I watch. Yeah, pro justice. There you go. I watch a lot of left. I watch a lot of right. And I found your channel. I really loved it. So reparations as a specific issue, I come at it for atonement. But for me, I just recommend everybody listening, get into some Black culture, Black American culture, as and the music, especially soul, the 70s, Motown period is very fascinating, late 70s. And you can connect. And that's what I'm more about. So yeah, thanks for having me on to talk about this. So pro reparations. Reparations now is the hashtag you'll see on my Twitter.
And John D, you're so going to have to come on a Negro meeting and talk about this. We got a whole nother segment called the Negro meeting. So when we're not bashing the lefties, we actually have conversations. So you can actually come and join it. It won't be like in Rosewood when John Boyd came in and everybody turned around like, we need to talk. Like, you got to go.
Strange bedfellows, politics and this stuff. There's a lot of people get scared at these meetings and these convergences. They call it disinformation, right? They say it's Russian bots. They call it white supremacists. The fact that we're getting together talking about it's people get scared when people want to unite and talk about these things.
Because Black and white people uniting in this country is revolution. Every time it happens, the country gets shooken up. Yeah, like we rock the table.
That's right.
Well, it's not always that rosy too. That's the other obvious thing. It's the white power, the white all the terrorism that's happening. It's even like you go back to Occupy Wall Street, there was that tension in the left between white and black. Even the Bernie bro whole concept is that there's always, as much as we always like to have this white and black unity that we fetishize often, it's in history, we also have to kind of be honest, right? It's one thing that I wish, we got to get the message out to as white people here on the panel, allies, and Robin DiAngelo's trying, another good Italian last name. She's trying, but look at the pushback she gets. I don't do this stuff like full time for a podcast, but if I did, I wouldn't get any viewers. I wouldn't get any. If I was the white guy talking about reparations, you're not going to get any viral views. You're going to get like, it's not one of the hot topics. You talk about Afghanistan, you'll get all the views. You talk about, but like, it's just not this thing. And, I think this fantasy of the white and black, America is a very divided country. It fucking blows my mind sometimes, especially if my family members going back to school, you take them to these schools, like, whoa, okay, this is a white school, this is a black school. And it's fucking like, it sucks, so reparations helps that, to just get people talking about it. But it's hard to just, this is a cool panel here, but you probably had to look at how you had to hack all this crew together. There's 9 of us, right?
This came together
very panel.
Organically.
But trying to put this at scale, it's amazing how fearful people are of it. How much people on the left and the right, how, it's in that American society, that soulless.
Well, John, that unpopularity that you were just talking about, when we're done with intros, we should get into that a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah,
I think
I'm with
that's
that.
The deal. Sure. You're going into the wilderness. We are being on this today. If you're not already here, you're on your way to the wilderness where you will be, rejected by other white people. But you get to another side of it. You get to another side.
And I think before Mud goes, I want to throw in this to what John D was saying. So if you listen to Thomas Kramer, he's German, and when he talks about, how he came to be for reparations and got interested in studying reparations and everything else, there's a part where he talks about like the thing that he liked about what happened in America is, unlike in Germany, there was always people resisting like slavery. There was always people resisting these forms of oppression, white people as well, like resisting with black people. And that was what he liked about the culture and the history, unlike in Germany, where either they did nothing or they participated. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think here, like, we do have a history of people wanting to fight with us. I think the problem is it goes back to what MLK was saying in Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. Not enough people get into the fight for that. So he said with the civil rights movement, not enough people got into it. So that's black, white. If you think about it, like, I'm hoping with what we're doing, we can start to create a community. So Yvette and Tone created a community for people who had been sitting around for a while. They had been reading, they had been learning, they had been seeing things, and some had framed it, some hadn't, but there was no community. There was nobody to talk to, like how you guys talk about like my white friends. I can't talk to them about, they don't. Black people go through the same thing with our friends and family too. Oh, you on that reparation, you on that HOTEP shit. Like some people go through that too, even when we try to talk about the politics. And so we're all experiencing this so the good thing is we are creating a community of people. That's what ADOS was. It was a community of people that got created. We were able to identify who we were. And then from there, we were able to identify each other and create community. And I think that's what more of that is.
Listening to Reset Race, you now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. What? Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, back on the grill again. We grilling them, You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You tuned in to Reset Race, you'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to US Southern plantations, pennies, Jim Crow and mass incarceration, redlining lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one, cousin mother intellectual, Samantha bringing fire, anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country, to win, you need our energy. You gon' see, listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice plan. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.
Until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna crumble.
Negroes should do whatever is necessary to bring about a complete solution to their problem. When I say whatever is necessary, they should have the flexibility to do whatever is necessary to solve the problem.